You've been asking, and Head has finally delivered. But is this really the update that Gravity players have been asking for? Today, we're gonna take the all-new Head Gravity Tour on court, and I'm gonna give you my honest feedback. I'm gonna let you know exactly how this plays, and even some areas that I think maybe could still have been improved more. Coming at the start of the Australian Open, the Gravity Tour comes with some really exciting updates to the frame. Most importantly, Head has updated the head size from 100 square inches down to a 98, and also updated the stringing pattern to a 16 by 19. With a slightly more open string pattern, slightly smaller head size, should give you a little bit more control out of this Gravity versus the old Gravity Tour. Aside from the changes made to the head size and the string pattern, everything else is basically exactly the same as the old Tour. 305 grams on strung, 7 points headlight balance, and a 22mm beam thickness really make it feel very similar to the old Gravity Tour, but it definitely plays quite differently. Aside from the more visible changes made to the layup, Head has also updated it with Auxetic 2.0 for improved feel at impact, as well as a half-cap grommet system, again for an improved feel, improved sound at contact, and also a little bit of extra protection for those of us like myself that are a little harder on their rackets than others. With the specs out of the way, let's get this on court and see exactly how it plays. Let me get one thing out of the way right off the bat. I was not one of those requesting much of a change to the stringing pattern here. I love the change to the 98 square inch head size. I think that brings in a little extra control that I kind of found I lacked with the old Gravity Tour and sort of the Gravities in general. But I was a little surprised when they made it a 16 by 19 as opposed to maybe a 16 by 20. I was maybe a little biased at the start of this hitting session. I was kind of almost missing that 16 by 20, kind of thinking, oh, I wish it had a little bit of a lower launch. But one of the things that I noticed probably within the first 5-10 minutes is that pretty quickly I stopped missing that more close string pattern. And I actually found that the 16 by 19 really complements the amount of control in this frame quite nicely. From the back of the court, just like all the other Gravities, it's really good if you're making really good aggressive swings. There's lots of power available here without it being too powerful. There's lots of control, there's tons of feel, and it generates more than enough spin, which is probably why I like the 16 by 19 more than I thought I would. Off both wings, I felt it was really easy to generate a lot of pace. And even when I was kind of struggling a little bit, maybe I was a little outside my contact zone, I was really on a dead run, I still found that it was easy to generate racket head speed just because it's so nice and head light. It's kind of really close to my spec range in general at 305 grams. So there wasn't a lot that I had to do to adjust to this frame. One area in particular that I think kind of really stands out to me as to why I think the 16 by 19 suits this racket so well is those really low approach shots when you really have to generate a little extra height in a tight space. You know, you're 3/4 quarter closer, ball's below your knees, maybe even like almost at your ankle. You're really having to lift that ball quite a bit. I find that 16 by 19, that little higher launch, it kind of almost made those shots automatic for me. I really didn't think I had to add any height to it. I could kind of just swing almost normally and still get the height that I need, along with the extra pace that I was looking for. So really awesome from the back of the court and moving forward. At net, really solid. I wouldn't say it necessarily stands out as being like the best racket I've ever volleyed with. It's very stable, it's got lots of control, it's got lots of feel as well, which is really nice. I found touch volleys to be really nice and easy with this, as well as actually just driving it deep. It's just a very solid, stable racket, so you're really gonna have no worries whatever moving forward. On serve, really solid again. I really like how headlight it is. It makes it really maneuverable. I kind of get access to a few more serves that I wouldn't otherwise have. So I found I was hitting a few wide serves a bit better. I was definitely hitting my T serve better than I expected to right off the hop. Again, I wouldn't say this is the best racket I've ever served with. I think I could probably hit a little bit more pop if there was a bit more weight here, but absolutely super solid at net, really good variety. The Gravity, at least the previous Gravity Tour, I struggled a little bit more with than with this one. If you're currently using the older Gravity Tour and you're kind of wondering how does this stack up, honestly, it is still fairly similar and it's still going to be very recognizable for you in terms of the way you're going to be able to play and the shots you're going to be able to hit. I just found that the slightly smaller head size introduced a little bit more precision, and the actually slightly more open string pattern helped make it a little bit more forgiving, even with that slightly smaller head size, which for me, like I said, I definitely did not necessarily want the 16 by 19. I probably would have still preferred the 16 by 20, but I still think the 16-19 really suits this racket really well. Overall, I would say this is definitely a racket meant more for intermediate to advanced level players. Smaller head size, slightly higher weight, and a little bit more of a flexy frame definitely kind of lend to a lot more control and a little bit less pace. So definitely for a slightly better player out there who's going to swing a little bit more aggressively, you're going to get a little more out of it. However, because it's got that more open pattern, it still does appeal and it still will work pretty well for, you know, intermediate or maybe even some beginner players that want something with a little extra weight. Thanks everyone for watching. If you have any questions about the brand new Head Gravity Tour, or have suggestions of rackets you want to see us take a look at, let us know down in the comments. With 2025 on the horizon, there's tons of new rackets on the way, which means there's tons of new content on the way as well. So don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and that bell notification button to keep up with all of our latest content. As always, the Head Gravity Tour will be available in store and online at racketguys.ca. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.